Hello, everyone. My name is Ian Warren. I'm a graduating senior here at UTK. I have a major in psychology and a minor in Japanese, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the Japanese minor, kind of tell you about what it is, what it entails, and what it can do for you. So the one thing that I think is one of the most important things, or things that most likely get you guys' attention, is money. Out of the humanities majors, the Japanese language one is one of the highest paying humanities majors, which is pretty surprising and pretty impressive. This information was published both in Forbes and Business Insider, two very famous companies. Um, Out of all the languages, I believe Japanese is the highest, and second, I believe, is German. But there's a lot of profit to be made here. So, if anything, know that there is a job market and business market out there if you have a Japanese minor, and one that pays very well. So the next thing is the opportunities the Japanese minor brings. I personally believe that there are a lot of them, and that the Japanese minor might have some of the most out of all the language minors that you can have. For instance, locally, there's the Knox Asian Festival that's run by Kumi Otterson. She also runs a local food truck, Ramen Bones. It's very delicious. But in the Knox Asian Festival, you can volunteer for events there. And perhaps you can even get more involved past volunteering. I know some friends of mine have gotten paid helping work the event. If you want to know more about that, talk to your teachers, and I believe it happens about the beginning of every school year in the fall. Next is study abroad, which I will talk about a bit later. There's the social media pages, which I know some of my friends are helping out with currently. Um, there's a Japanese language table here on campus that's usually in the iHouse. That's a good place to meet other people in like the Japanese major, minor, across that you wouldn't normally meet in your classes. And it's a good way to meet some people who are native Japanese speakers. And it's a good way to learn casual Japanese or things you wouldn't normally learn in class. Also, for instance, I was able to help lead that later on in my fourth year, but I went to 3 years. It was really fun. There's a lot of other things you can do opportunity wise. Um, there is the events that Horiguchi Sensei brings to campus. She brings academics and speakers, and they are really fun events to go to. There's a lot to learn, and sometimes you can even meet and talk to those people. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity and thing to go to. So as I mentioned earlier, there's the study abroad. Universities you can go to are Kobe University, Kansai Gaidai, Waseda, and more, I believe, depending on what type of study abroad you're planning to go to. I personally went to Kansai Gaidai, which I'll talk a bit later. And for the most part, it's quite easy to be able to study abroad. UTK has some pretty good connections, and to actually study abroad at a place shouldn't be too much of a stress. Or, um, and as finance goes, usually getting scholarships is very easy. When applying for foreign language and study abroad scholarships, having Japan on your application makes you much more competitive to get those scholarships. For example, me personally, it was actually cheaper for me to study abroad at Kansai Gaidai than it was for me to do a semester at UTK. So I actually saved money studying abroad. Another thing is the Kakehashi project, which is something I got to go on. It was a really fantastic experience. I got to go all across Japan, um, and it was all paid for. Besides the $200 I had to pay for the insurance, but that was fine. Paying $200 for a good week and a half, I think about. Um, Trip around Japan, going to companies, cultural sites, etc. That it was an amazing opportunity. I don't know if you guys personally will have that opportunity to go to Kakehashi specifically while you're here at UTK, but I hope that you'll have some other experience to go to Japan via some program. Next is summer classes, which if you can do those, if it's within your finances and within your time, they're really good opportunity. I know Horiguchi Sensei does some, but it's a really good way to go to Japan and to kind of like go all around Japan and see things that maybe you wouldn't normally, and learn things there in Japan itself. And that would also count for one of the minor classes. So that would help slim down your schedule a little bit, hopefully. But I'm really disappointed that I couldn't go through some of the summer events. So if you can, I would highly suggest that you be able to do it. It would be an unforgettable experience, I'm almost sure. Another thing is career building. Having the Japanese minor on your resume is very good. I know, for example, my friend, he said whenever he brought his resume into an interview, they would always ask him about the Japanese minor. It's a good way to get the conversation started and the ball rolling in the interview, which sometimes would be a tough thing to do. It also makes you stand out. Not everybody walks into an interview with a Japanese minor. You are going to stand out most likely. And also having a Japanese minor opens a lot of doors, especially working with Japanese companies, whether they're in America or in Japan. Overall, the Japanese minor will make you much more competitive in getting these jobs. And also, this can strengthen any major. If you're a chemist, like a chemistry major, and you want to be a chemist somewhere, well, now you could possibly be a chemist in Japan, or a chemist for a Japanese company in America, and be more competitive again to do both of those. Um, I believe that almost any major could benefit from a Japanese minor, which is not something that could be said for something like maybe a biology minor, where biology minor might not be as good for something like, let's say, if you had something. My guess is if it was something more outlandish, like if you were it's a tough decision. Maybe a business major, having a biology minor, unless you're working in kind of, I guess, a bio company. But I think for the most part, Japanese minor is more applicable. I guess I didn't really give a good enough example there. I apologize. But yes, the Japanese minor, I believe, is fantastic and can help anybody. So I don't think anybody could say that it has no benefit to them at all. So the Japanese minor gives you a lot of fun classes that you can take. There's food, fiction, and film and Asian film classes run by Horiguchi Sensei. Those are very fun classes. There's Japanese graphic novel and anime class, which I know a lot of people in the Japanese classes, um, they got into Japanese culture first through by novels, manga, and anime. So that's a really fun class to take. Um, I sadly didn't take topics in Japanese literature. I wish I could, and did, but I don't know much about it, so I apologize there. And this is Japanese internship, which every so often Horiguchi Sensei is able to help students get internships in Japan, which looks very fantastic if you do want to get a job in Japan. But overall, it's just a great experience to be able to go and do. So all the classes here, I think, are thoroughly enjoyable. I didn't feel stressed out in any of them. I felt like I was learning a lot and I was enjoying myself while learning. The classes aren't made to be extremely difficult because a lot of the stuff is stuff people have never heard about or never knew. So it focuses a lot on being able to, I guess, appreciate and learn the material compared to it being a vigorous class. The classes are challenging in their own regard, but I don't think any of them are unfairly challenging. I think they're all enjoyable, and the enjoyableness of it is well balanced with the workload. So more about myself, to kind of give more examples of what I have done here on campus, as I guess an example. For the pictures you can see in the left-hand corner one, that is the Kakahashi project. That was a really fun thing for me to be able to go to, and hopefully it will look good on my resume and give me opportunities in jobs that maybe I wouldn't have been able to get before. On the right-hand side, we see the Japanese language table. A good handful of those people are some of the study abroad students that actually come to UTK every March. They're really fun to hang out with and a good way to practice Japanese. As you see, there's a lot of them in the pictures, but that is a Japanese language table where I got to help out with the last year. I was here, and kind of hang out the entire time. It was a really fun experience, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I had a fun time teaching what I've learned. And the bottom picture is the Gotenyama campus of Kansai Gaidai, where I went and studied abroad. It was a very fantastic experience. I met a lot of friends there, and it was honestly just really, really fun. And I think was one of my favorite semesters here at UTK. But I also got to meet with the Japanese Consulate General. He's the person that is kind of in control of Japanese, like some of the visa and like immigration and studying abroad and working abroad here in the southeastern area, I believe. And he's stationed, I believe, in Nashville. But I got to meet him and talk to him. That was a really fun experience. And also at that event, there was a lot of local people, uh, like business, I guess, executives to say, and a lot of other of the UTK people associated with study abroad and the Japanese major. Um, I also got to give a tour to some visiting Japanese workers that were coming to look at one of the American facilities for a Japanese-based company, kind of see how we did it there. And while they were here, they were they decided to take a tour here at Knoxville campus, Tennessee's the university's campus. Sorry, words. They wanted to bring them someplace famous in Tennessee, so they thought the university would be a good place. So I got to help tour them around there and bring them around campus. And that was a really fun experience. And my friends have done a lot also. And I think for almost all of my friends, me and my friends, we've got to do a lot of different things. And I don't think that like anybody who chooses to do the Japanese minor will be disappointed with opportunities that would come their way. There's more than enough for everybody because, frankly speaking, it's not a very competitive thing. There's not a whole lot of people in the minor and the major. So compared to, say, the Spanish or German or French major, those classes have so much more people in it. So this is something that you can really feel like you stand out in. But yeah, thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions, please ask your teachers. You can even ask me. Ask Horiguchi Sensei. That would be Noriko Horiguchi. And Horiguchi Sensei's email is on the UTK website. I should have put it here. I apologize I didn't. But she's a good person to ask questions to if you have any. Of course, also ask your teachers. If you're worried about maybe you don't have enough time for the Japanese minor, also talk to teachers. Sometimes you are able to, if you put a lot of effort into it and put a lot of work into studying ahead, you can sometimes skip some of the Japanese classes. If you can show that you can learn the material by yourself, I think it's very, very possible and doesn't take too much effort, especially if you do it over the summer, taking the 2 to 3 months, however much time we get in that time, to just knock out a whole class's material worth of like textbook chapters and really familiarizing your stuff will allow you to have a bit more flexibility and perhaps skip some classes. But and for the study abroad, I forgot to mention when you should study abroad. I believe the best time to do that is your junior and senior year. When you want to start actually talking about, try doing it about a semester to a year early of actually trying to get yourself registered for that. So if you want to do this in fall of senior year, start talking about it late fall, early spring of junior year. It's never too early to get that stuff done. And usually, if you study abroad for a semester, you'll almost be able to complete almost all of your Japanese minor classes. So it's very efficient use of time. Some of the schools will also allow you to complete some of your major classes. So it'd be both a fantastic opportunity, a fun experience, and you'll be able to do things and graduate on time. But yes, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a good day, and I hope that maybe I've gotten some of you interested in the Japanese minor.